Well, thank you so much for joining us. I am hanging out with Muthoni, the drama queen. She's a rapper, songwriter, a businesswoman, and of course she is the queen, rather she is the CEO and founder of Blankets and Wine. So we're hanging out with her in studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please use the hashtag #111 to talk to Muthoni. Send in your questions to her, and we'll be forwarding the same to her. So Muthoni, the title drama queen. Is that you? Do you have any? I mean, you don't look like a drama queen to me, though.
No. So I play drums. So it's drummer.
Drummer.
You know?
Yeah.
Pronounced. But it's a kind of fun play on words. So because I'm Muthoni drummer queen. You know? But then in Kenya we just say Muthoni drama queen. So
the drums. Let's talk about the drums actually.
Yeah.
This is how you discovered your love for music, the acoustics.
Yeah.
How did the infusion of drum into your style come about, and when?
Cool. Very good question. So initially, it was in mass. So the guy who used to play drums had the best box in the world. Like his hairstyle was the best, and he just looked so cool playing.
You mean mass as in Catholic?
Mass as in Catholic church, right? Like or like big people church. And I was a kid, and the thing is, after mass, my dad would ask you questions like, what is the second reading? And I'm like, how will I stay awake? So it's like, if I learn how to drum, first I'm going to be cool like this guy with his nice box. And then also, I'm going to have to stay awake, right? Because now I have to know, I have to stay awake to play the drum. So that's where I picked it up. And then when I went to high school in Moe Girls, Nairobi, I wanted to join the drama club. And of course, they were not auditioning like fast formers or like you guys are useless in life. But then, because I could play the drums, I got into the club. I was still extremely inconsequential, but I was in drama club, and then I had to play the set of Luo drums. It's common use, like, you know, Hangla music. So that's how I learned playing buckets, playing those drums. And that's kind of, and then it stuck.
So let's talk about your style, Muthoni. Because I've seen you performing with a live band. You do a lot of live performances, but I honestly, I mean, whether it's in a pub or a nightclub, well, talk about Octopizzo and the Collabo, yes, those do play, but what is your genre and who does it sell better to?
What is my genre? I want to say my genre is dope.
Yes, it is.
I think the thing that has happened with me is I've allowed myself the transitions. So when I started, I was Afro soul, you know, very neo soul infused, but like in Kiswahili, it had elements of R&B. And then I made a record with Wawesh, The Human Condition, which was my first proper album. And in that one, it was just like whatever goes. We were not trying to have a genre, we're just trying to express ourselves. So literally, it was whatever happens, that's what we write, no? Very eccentric, eclectic, a little electronic. But that's also the one that had Mikono Kwenye Hewa, which then got an MTV nomination. And then after that, I did the EP with Welcome to the Disco. So I was still on that tangent of just a little crazy, pushing the boundaries, not really concerned about what the sound is. And then I fell in love with hip-hop. And I was like, okay, let me
talk about hip-hop and how people reacted to rap and this girl and, you know, just because we know the industry is saturated and it's sort of just, you know, male-dominated, the rappers, the guys who do the hip-hop. So what was the reaction to Muthoni coming into this industry and coming in with her new style and the rap? And not just the audience particularly, but, you know, your competitors as well.
So I feel that, number one, there's a lot of space still, right? Because just first, let's start with me saying, I think that hip-hop is the true urban music of Kenya. I think Kalamashaka, I think Ukoflani, I think Juliani, all the ones who we consider to be epic are hip-hop people. Even the like Kolo and Yashinsky, Kleptomaniacs. I think there's something that we truly, as urban Kenya, that really connects with hip-hop. And then in that space, there haven't been, outside of Nazizi, I guess there hasn't been as many female MCs who've like really taken it and been excellent and gone all the way, no? So I feel there's space. So So I just came in and just like, oh, okay, there's a girl who's trying. Now, I think what was surprising is because a lot of people assume that mini kababi.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say that. Because you must say you're Swahili and how you just feel it. I'm like, I know where this girl went to school. There's no way.
How does this work?
Yeah.
Because, so this I picked up in Ted Josiah's studio. And in fact, it's Didge who taught me that. That, like, language is a tool, right? So you can learn French, you can learn Spanish, you can learn English, you can learn Sheng. For me, it became extremely useful to learn Sheng because the boys that I played with in the band were always speaking in Sheng. So if I wanted to bond, I'd have to learn the language that they were speaking. But then for me, it's also like X%, let's say majority percent of Kenyans understand and speak in Sheng. So speaking this language allows you to communicate to the majority of Kenyans. Why wouldn't you do it? To me, it's illogical not to know Sheng in this day and age in Kenya. You should speak the language that many people can speak. However, English is a language of instruction. We are doing this interview in English. You read the news in English. Kenyans understand English. We speak it in the offices. It's our language of instruction. So I feel that the language idea that Kenyans should only speak Sheng, or if you speak English, you know, kusema weni babi. To me, I find that these ideas are they're not necessarily true. It's just versions of us trying to block each other. It's to say, because you speak in English, therefore you come from this background, therefore I don't want to associate with you, or you do not deserve the space.
And let's talk about your songwriting, because yes, you have the fusion of Sheng and the English, but then again, the message, your lyrics, and just, you know, like Nainia, who, for instance, do you have a particular, because there's people who sing love songs, there's people who totally hate men, and so they're like, you know what, I'm so done with this. So for you, are you poetic in your music in the sense that is there a message that you're driving forth with your music?
So my background is poetry. So this whole thing started, so I've always sang, okay? I was always a singer. But when I got onto a stage, I was in a phase of life where I was in love with poetry. And I was reading African poetry, Black American poetry. I really loved it. And for it to translate on stage, I discovered this thing called spoken word, and it was like, oh my God, you know? So this is the place that I was coming from, very considered. Poetry is, even if you're talking about nail polish, you have to say it, you have to present it, ushairi, no? So this is something that I adopted very early. Sometimes I'm saying important things. Sometimes I'm doing social commentary, like Nainia, who is completely social commentary, just my observations of the space. Sometimes I'm just talking whatever. I'm just saying I'm the best. I'm the best.
I'm the baddest.
I'm the baddest. You know? But I have already adopted this way of speaking, this way of presentation. And then when I look back, this is also how I learned to do the thing. So we were in Lavington Primary together. And so you remember public speaking. So I was always in public speaking. I did debate club. So you learn very early the idea of presentation of a piece. No? So I think this is just, these are the things that have stuck with me. So for me, rap is just a version of poetry, right? So you are allowed, again, it's a tool. Singing is a tool, rap is a tool. These are all things that I have within my disposal. The thing that really matters is, what do I want to express? So sometimes the thing that I want to express needs a song. Sometimes it needs a very fast rap that's aggressive, and like I even need Calligraph Jones and MI on the track. Really the thing that I'm trying to say dictates the tools, but the tools are within my disposal. Now, to answer your earlier question, because rap is so testosterone, and not just in Kenya but universally, for me the approach has been to be excellent. So if you're going to learn this thing, to me it's just a tool, then learn it all the way.
Who did you learn from?
Who did I learn from?
Played the biggest role?
Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Q-Tip, Common, Talib Kweli. I listened to like rap greats, and I understood, and so for me also, I listened to people, storytellers, and storytellers who then translate. And then these things sit at the back of my head. They're not at the back of my head, but they are sort of like, these are the guides in my head. So when I'm writing, when I'm done writing and I'm like saying it back to myself in the mirror, I always wonder if Drake was in the room with me, or if J. Cole was in the room with me, would he be like, oh, that's interesting?
And it's amazing, you know, that you actually can articulate your vision, because I think the challenge that a lot of artists have, and even in terms of just, you know, reaching, you know, their target audience, and even corporates that want them to endorse their brand, so they can't articulate their vision as well as you have. So let's talk about recording. Are you recording in the country? Do you perform in the country? We'll get into your other gigs shortly. But let's talk about where you record, who's producing you.
So since 2013, I've been recording in Switzerland. So I met a friend in Nairobi, a Swiss guy who's a DJ, who introduced me to his friends who make amazing beats. And then we clicked. So I went for holiday, and just to meet them and to see if we would vibe out. The result was an album.
Wow.
And then we were like, okay, so this makes sense. We flow.
What have you observed, you know, the difference in terms of Switzerland, Nairobi, for artists who are recording here, some of their frustrations, and for you, your experience out there?
Okay. The first thing is the standard of excellence. Perhaps because the circumstances, access to instruments, a completely functional music industry, perhaps a combination of circumstances means that the average band in Switzerland is, when I do the Kenyan comparison, is A+, if I had to compare them, right? They have a very high sense of musicianship. For a lot of Kenyans, we interact with music, instruments in church, right? Because even the music programs in schools are so underfunded. I think about the piano we had in Lavington Primary. The thing was always out of tune. Actually, there was no music teacher to teach you how to play that piano, even if you wanted to play that out of tune piano, right? Whereas for them, the music curriculum dictates that you have to learn an instrument, and the instruments are available, right? So I find that they have a very high level of musicianship.
What about the expense, what you need to invest to actually be able to afford to record out there? Because we're talking about flight tickets, accommodation.
Correct.
You know,
so you gotta grind. You have to hustle. You have to get shows. You have to put your savings together, right? All I need is to get my ticket and to get there. Once I'm there, I stay with my producer, right? And then when I'm there, it's really work. It's like from the house to the basement studio, work, back to home, because you know I have very like 10 days, 9 days. The second thing that I've observed about working with them is we have such different cultural references. It's beautiful. The place that I'm coming from and the place that they're coming from. So even our appreciation of the same track is so different because of the way they hear. So like when I play them Luo music, I see them looking for the count, like 1, 2, 3.
What about performing to that, you know, audience out there that probably doesn't understand what you're saying? They love the beat, that, you know, they like perhaps, you know, your costume, your sound, everything. But what about the fact that they can't understand, and just reaching them and getting that crowd energy, which I think for you artists is so important?
I think this is actually where I've sharpened the performance skill. And I feel super blessed, and it's the privilege actually of my life that even when I have been considered an outsider or irrelevant, when I have been told to declare my Kenyanness in Kenya, when I go abroad, they're just like, they don't know what I'm saying, so they have to feed off my energy. So it's forced me to become a performer. It's forced me to consider what the show is going to look like. What does my costume look like, right? If we have a screen, are there graphics? Am I working with a visual artist so the story can also be interpreted on the screen? What is the role of dancers? Do I want dancers? If the dancers on stage, do they have a face? Do they wear a mask? Can we use metaphor? Performing, in fact, I find it's incredible. It's wonderful because I feel very anonymous there, right? They don't know me. I don't know anybody in the audience, so I'm not afraid. So this is like pure art
So you feel that like there's more pressure here in Kenya?
Absolutely. When I'm performing a show in Nairobi, I'm already just there panicking. Kenyans are already judging you. You know, some are liking you, some are disinterested, and that's the other thing. So, and this is the biggest frustration. Again, because there is access in Europe. Okay, so music festivals is how people consume music in mass. So people are very, very, very open to watching somebody they don't know. That is what they expect. When they go to a festival, the festival has like 100 performers. They know maybe 4 bands, 5 bands. They're like, whatever, us guys are here for a good time, so you on stage
perform.
Just bring it, right? And when you go to the club, like the equivalent of, I don't know, Bacchus, the clubs are outfitted like a venue. There's good sound, there's an actual stage, there's lighting. They're very aware of the performance idea. So a normal club already behaves like a venue. And so I think it just makes you sit straighter and to just consider really what is your performance, what is your output, you know.
So, and you know, I think the concern with brands such as yourself, and perhaps, you know, we're about to get into your side hustle, your big gig, your other life. For artists who, I mean, this is their life, this is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Is this industry sustainable? I mean, can you actually say this is what I do and this is my hustle? And, you know, because we're aging and you know, you're this electrifying performer on stage, you're in your maybe early 20s, early 30s. But is this a sustainable industry, would you say? And if not, how then to remain relevant over the years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I want to say yes, because I'm here. No, I'm evidence. It's sustainable. The thing is, though, my approach to this thing and what I would say to anybody is you should approach this thing like an athlete. Yeah? You have to give it 185% at rehearsals, right? So you're going to be in training for X amount of time, 3 months to play a 90-minute game. It's the same thing. The more you do that, the better you become. Now, unlike athletes, the better a performer you are, the more a lifeline you have. Tina Turner is still singing, right? Stevie Wonder is still making music. Because this thing is timeless. Unless your voice gives up on you, it's timeless. And in fact, I feel now that I am at the best place that I've ever been. I'm currently in studio. We're currently recording music right now.
Excellent.
And it's the best music I've ever made because you mature, right? The more I've been on stage, the more I interact with fans, the more I trust myself, the more I am convinced about my purpose, the easier it becomes to write. So this thing is sustainable. But Lillian, if somebody comes at this thing with a shortcut, it's going to be difficult because then you need the gimmick, right? Then you need the stunts. And I keep hearing this, the industry needs, they need showbiz, they need a stunt. I'm like, no, they need excellence. Just if you're excellent, your excellence is the stunt. So like, think Beyonce. Her stunt is turning up on a stage. Like, when you see her, you are slayed. Yeah, by her costuming, by her voice, by her ability to sing and to dance. Her performance is the gimmick.
Yeah, total package.
Right?
And by the way, as we continue, hashtag is one-on-one. DJ Crossfade on the ones and twos right here on Citizen Weekend every Friday. That is the man who brings the house down. DJ Crossfade, thank you for the wonderful job you're doing. So I want to go into Blankets and Wine. By the way, this is the CEO and founder of Blankets and Wine, East Africa's premier music experience. Talk to us about Blankets and Wine, Muthoni, because you were a musician first.
Correct.
And then Blankets and Wine happened. So why Blankets and Wine? How did you give birth to this baby? Why the need for Blankets and Wine? From where you were sitting at the time?
From where I was sitting.
Yeah.
And I think even from where I'm sitting now. So first we're changing the tagline because we're just the world's premier music experience.
Okay,
now.
The world.
The world.
So not East Africa, but the world.
Now we're global. Now we are Uber, now we are Apple, now we are Airbnb. Now we're global.
I mean, you are, because you brought in Aloe Black, and I was like, what? Really? That's huge.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So, when I started making music, outside of Ted Dosaya, there is no other producer who took us seriously. I remember my friend now, Musioka, that time I was just like, Musioka, told me, you need a Manyake song. you need the song that sounds like Manyake. That time I was singing in a crew with my friends. Imagine. And there was this very, and there continues to be, and I think it's extremely dangerous, a very single narrative about what is Kenyan. Okay, so first, there's nothing Kenyan, because if you're born in Kenya, you're already Kenyan. You don't need to qualify or to justify that idea, correct? But I have sat across from Shafiweru when he was like PCing the PC for Kiss, and he listened to Mikono Kwenye Hewa and is like, this song is amazing. You sound like Black Eyed Peas. So I was like, but Kenyans are not ready.
Kenyans are not ready for that sound.
To this. They're not ready for this. And I remember asking, who qualifies what Kenyans are ready for? Because if you're saying it's Black Eyed Peas, and at the same time there's 3 Black Eyed Peas songs on the radio, on your radio right now, and then there's this song that is by a Kenyan that you're saying is at the same standard, but by the same breath you're saying Kenyans are not ready for this quality.
What does that mean?
What does this mean? And this has been something that I faced over and over and over. When I started doing Afro Soul, there was one show on radio. That was Charles' show, Neo Soul Show, on Sunday morning, that would play our music. And then there was the one song that would be played from here. So we would all wait. Hopefully we are on Bubbling Under. And then you tell all your friends, don't go to church, wait for my song so that you can vote. So that the song can get played again next week, and maybe after 3 weeks she would put it in her in the main playlist, right? There was just no access. And the story that I kept being told over and over is that there is no space for a Kenyan like you. Let me tell you who else has that narrative. Lupita. I went to school with Lupita in St. Mary's. Over and over and over they told her, you are too smart, you're too articulate, your color, privilege. So, in spite of the fact that she's a damn good actress, the glass ceiling, right? So, I hit my glass ceiling very quickly. Me, I didn't want to sing Manyake. I wanted to pound my drums and to do my poetry and to sing my 2 songs and whatever, just be an artist. And my influences are Lauryn Hill and Jill Scott and Missy, and I have... Nobody could convince me why it was a good idea to dumb down. Dumb down for what?
Meaning no content?
To reduce it.
Yeah.
To reduce. Why? I'm like, no. But then perhaps
but that's also an insult, actually, to us as the audience and the listener. Because
and this has been my argument over and over. When you say that Kenyans are not ready, what you're saying is that they don't deserve good quality.
But do we have a Kenyan sound? Because I've heard that as well. I've heard that Kenyans are more interested in the beat and not really what it is that you're saying. So when you talk about Manyake, that's just fine because we like the beat. It's not the fact that this is gross content and that you can't play this song with your children.
Manyake was actually a very fun
and no pan Manyake, by the way.
You know what I mean?
There's many other songs that are controversial.
Really fun club song. But that was not my truth. So for me to reduce myself, I would have to erase who I am so that I can play this role. I act, I pretend that I cannot organically produce Manyake. That's not how I see life, right? Me, I see life as Mikono Kwenye Hewa, and I see life as, you know, turn on the lights. There's a way that's very hyper-specific to me. So when I couldn't get anywhere, I started doing, I had been doing my own gig in a club in West C. About 120 people could come, and then the gig just hits. It was just frustration all around. There's only so many people who can fit in this gig. So even if you advertise and you market and you tell guys to come, there's only so many of them who can fit in the room before it becomes an uncomfortable experience for everybody. And then the gig just couldn't make financial sense, right? So there's an agreement that I made with the club owner. By this time you're playing with a band as well? I'm playing with a band, so I've always played live. That's the other thing. That's how I came into music. We did our first recording. I was in our first show. I was in a band with my friend Jerry called Tight in 2004 at our old school St. Mary's. And from that time, so we called all our friends who play instruments to be our band, okay? And like to be our BGVs and to be our dancers, and we had like a smoke machine. It was a show. It was a product, because these are the things that we wanted to do. And so I have never ever been able to play differently because I need the energy of the music. I need to feel like I'm creating in real time, you know? So we so then now here I am, I'm doing this gig. It's like a year and something into this gig. It's not growing because it's at saturation point physically. We have these run-ins with the owner. Sometimes there's money, sometimes there's no money. So I can't sustain. So I'm working by day and paying the band out of my pocket, paying for this out. I just needed out. There's not enough space on the radio. So then I was in a brainstorm with my friends, and they're like, you guys, it is time for radical surgery over here. You cannot go to another club. It's just going to produce the same result. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is insanity. So 360, everything, change everything. You do it by day. I mean, you do it by night, do it by day. You do it at NYC so it can be near people. Go somewhere far where people have to choose you. Expand. And so literally, we did a list, everything that you are doing opposite, which is really advice that I live by. If you're stuck, if you've hit the glass ceiling, just write a list of everything you do and just do the opposite. Complete opposite, not a little opposite. And so then we did this, and because I knew there were so many artists like myself who had really great live music and even great recordings that wouldn't get on the radio because they keep being told they're not good enough or they are too good, whatever the narrative for Kenyans, I knew that there would be other people just like me who would need the platform. And I knew that me, if I could have 100 people coming to my gig and I'm a nobody, if I have like 3 other artists and everybody comes with their 100 people, those are 400 guys. And those are 400 people who have now come specifically to consume the music.
And that's amazing because you weren't only thinking about yourself, but you created a platform for other artists.
Absolutely.
Particularly live performers to come in and be part of Blankets and Wine and be part of that family-oriented fun. Okay.
And then, so then we start this thing in my friend's mom's backyard. Literally. Not by jokes. Because I can't afford a venue. So we started there. And then it starts to grow. And then it starts to grow. And on the third one, the lady who was helping me with the event comes and tells me, we sold out. So our selling out was 300 tickets at that time. I was like, what? 350 tickets. Then the next one, maybe 348, 362, 420. Slow and steady growth. There was never any magic. It was just slow and steady growth. The first thing that this thing solved was a problem for the artists who had all this content that they wanted to share. The second problem it solved was for all these people who live in Nairobi who are like, what can you do except going to a bar?
Yeah, on a Sunday. Or going to wash your car.
You know, like what else can you do? So if for nothing else, they just came because, okay, at least this is something else to do, right? But then when they came, they found, because in my mind I was like, no, let's be clear, this thing is going to be incredible. We are going to look good. We are going to have respect for artists. We're going to be a community. This thing is a community. So when everybody came, they were elevated. As soon as they walked into the space was chosen so deliberately. It's beautiful. People look good. There was a mix of cultures. It's such a multicultural. Blankets is Nairobi. It's completely multicultural. You'll find somebody from any part of the world. People walk in and they're like, oh, this thing is good. And then they listen to the music and they're like, who is this girl? Who is this band? Where can I buy this music? And so, between the artists,
I remember actually the first time I saw Elani was at Blankets and Wine. So a lot of people actually, you know, grew that confidence right there at Blankets and Wine at your gig.
Yeah, because we don't, and this is the thing that I've been talking about until I feel like I'm losing my mind. There is no gig circuit in Nairobi. So if we get off the screen today and we're like, okay, Lillian, let's go hang out and catch up, okay? Where will we go and hang out and listen to some music and discover a performer?
Okay. And, you know, so we're running short of time, but amazing story, Muthoni. So you expanded into Uganda. You took
it just grew. Actually, it grew itself. South African artists found us. They're like, hey, can we come to this thing? Like that.
What have you...
It just kept happening. It kept happening. The universe kept aligning support. Sponsors came to us. The media became interested in
your turnover. Let's talk about the money, Muthoni, because this must have just transformed your life. I mean, and that's why you're talking about Switzerland and what have you.
I'm talking about Switzerland because
you made good money out of it.
So this is the thing, and this is the thing that I have learned. We made a lot of good money, and we have spent all the good money on the thing. That's why it survives, right? So I do not live in like some palatial, where is the camera that's facing me so I can talk to young people.
Yeah, that
right?
one. That one.
If you are in business, you are the custodian of the business. You know, why is Chase, what happened to Chase? The owners of the business ran amok. They have no respect or value for their business, so they go and basically steal from themselves other people's money. This is not what we do with Blankets. From the beginning, I've had extreme fiscal
Why do you say
discipline.
we? Isn't Blankets just you?
No, because I have co-directors.
Okay.
I have co-directors, I have shareholders. Last year, we went out and raised a round of investment with these American investors, found us. We had a conversation about the dream, and that's how Good Times Africa entity was born. Because I said, look, I want to do more than Blankets.
So am I talking to a millionaire? Am I talking to what is a little millionaire here?
No.
Okay. But clearly the turnover is pretty good.
For me, the thing is, the money that is raised by the business belongs to the business, and the business is therefore able to create employment for the people who work for us, employment for all the people, the suppliers. The food chain that we supply is really big, so we collect a lot of money, but it's distributed everywhere along the food chain of everybody who's involved with us, which is how we are here today.
And, you know, I want to talk about the fact that you're on a break as we wind up. You're on a little break. What happened? I know Blankets, you know, was back earlier this month.
Yeah, April 10th.
After a short break, or, you know, a long break for people who knew, you know, every last Sunday was the first Sunday of every month. That's my plan.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people were, you know, confused about what exactly happened to Blankets. Are you back now? Are we hoping to see a better Blankets and Wine?
Yeah. So the first thing is we did this thing every single month. Plus we're in Uganda. It is exhausting. And I think that I just suffered burnout, and so did everybody on the team. The second and perhaps the worst part of it was I lost the joy of doing this thing, right? Because then you get caught up in overheads and trying to make the thing work, and who do you book next, and how do you give a better experience, and you never stop to actually think, when was the last time we did something new or something that was exciting? You cannot do the same exact thing for 6 years in a row every single month.
So Blankets actually went on for how many years?
We took a break after 6 years.
After 6
years of a monthly thing, of doing the same exact thing. It's burnout, and it was boring for us.
So how do you deal with people in the people trying to copy and paste, and how do you deal with the people who are so quick to borrow your idea and even perfect it and go like, you know what, Muthoni, you're on a break, we're going to run with this thing, we're going to go ham?
Well, you come back with Aloe Black, and then you do an event that makes everybody feel like, oh my God, there is only one Blankets and Wine, and everything else cannot measure, cannot compare. And you know what, Lillian? It can't. You cannot take away the factor of Muthoni Drama Queen. For a living, I sing, I travel. This summer alone, I'm playing as a headline act at 4 festivals. The thing that I have is a baby. I go to the real deal. I see the way things are organized. I'm backstage. Like, my life is permanent research. My network is artists. The people that I want to bring, I meet them backstage. And so this kind of like very clear, hyper-specific vision is in my head. So even if I tell you this is the blueprint, I cannot explain to you like this is the way the tent must look and this is the way the stage must look, because this is the way it must help people feel. This is innate to me, and my team who've been working on this thing for 6 years. We kind of know what we are doing by this point.
And the passion is real. That is Muthoni, the drama queen, and what a story. We wish you all the very best, and thanks for sharing with us. And, you know, I wish a lot of people could articulate as well as you do. By the way, she was a prefect all through school. Like, one of those really mean ones, right?
Oh, my God.
But you've done so well for yourself, and we're proud
Thank
of you.
And the purpose was not to just do well. The point was for me to do well, so I can be invited to Lillian's show to tell people you can do well at the thing that you do. You just find a thing that you love and commit to being excellent about it.
We're loving the look. We're loving the style. The Fashion Watch panel loves Muthoni's style. You're always a big winner on our show. So is Muthoni closing, Busy CrossFit, is Muthoni closing for us with something?
Am I gonna
We know
sing?
you don't do playback. We know you like doing the whole band thing, but we have...
But let's see. Curse Fade, what can we do? Ah, okay. So we'll do Baby Don't Go. Okay.
Right there.
The middle camera.
Actually, the middle, the central stage.
Okay, baby. Watch it to 1 to 10. Try to make sense. Watch it pretend. Watch it stand a 10. To come so far to lose it all is simply devastating. Why are we separating? I'm here negotiating. The rumors, the stories, the beats, the pictures that are circulating. I'd rather exaggerating. The end is complicating us. The same one standing here, drinking, talking, laughing. I bet you can't imagine how many are assassins. Trying to kill us, trying to end us, trying to break us off. Trying to be us, trying to see us, trying to make it for us. Kikulacho, kikuoni, cheki venye mitamboni, wamejawa na maoni. Nataka kuoni, please don't let it be done. Please don't. Okay, baby. Usilete ngori. Wacha niseme sorry. Wacha nilete sorry. Za kujipenda ku-explain candy yako baggy. Wacha niseme sorry. Baby, niseme sorry. Lately I've been over-aggressive, a little excessive, acting obsessive, a little oppressive. I know my behavior is less than impressive, but I let this word get the best of me, possibly. Why you're feeling so neglected? Why you get complicated? The higher we go, the more that we know, the less that we flow together. Although when looking below, I wish we had known the things that we know, though it's hard to grow. I hope we can change it. I pray that